A quick content note here before we begin this episode of What Am I Rolling? This episode's one-shot, My Late Father's Correspondence, is an epistolary role-playing game of bittersweet family drama. Content warnings include grief, patriarchy, illness, colonialism, war, and death. So, if you're not in the right headspace just now, please feel free to stop listening and come back if or when you're ready. Thanks again, and stay safe, my friends. Hello, and welcome to What Am I Rolling? A twice-monthly RPG one-shot podcast, hosted by me, Fiona. This is part 2 of our My Late Father's Correspondence one-shot, so make sure you listen to the first part before continuing on with this episode. So here's how My Late Father's Correspondence works. This game takes place over 9 days spread across 3 months. On each day, the player will receive a number of letters that bring unfolding news and events. They must read all the letters for each day and then answer them in the order they think best. The player can reply to the comments and questions in each letter, but they can also discuss other thoughts and feelings and include details of their own imagined everyday life. Once they've finished writing, they will then give the letters to an imaginary footman to put into the post. And when they are ready, perhaps after a well-deserved break, the player can turn to the next day of play. And that's it. That's all you need to know to play My Late Father's Correspondence. One last thing before we begin. Naturally, there are times in this one-shot where the players, and myself, most myself for this one, get the rules wrong or forget something plot-wise. Whilst we always endeavour to stick to the rules wherever possible, at the end of the day, we all make mistakes. And what matters most is that everyone enjoys themselves. So, with all that out of the way, let's play My Late Father's Correspondence. Day 6. December 19th, 1832. Oh dear. An unpaid letter sent all the way from Florence. I would recognise that hand anywhere, and most especially when it has scrawled my own name. Perhaps a glass of claret before I open this one. Oh no, looks like Nicholas has finally got in touch. One letter sits upon the desk. Okay, so it's just one letter today. The postmark reads Firenze and ADE 12 1832. Presumably December or something like that. The charge mark reads 1 1/10 and 1/8, and it's addressed to Agatha Lockley, Eadly Hall, Millcote, Hampshire. And there's a small illustration of a butterfly. Written in blue ink as if dashed off quickly. The handwriting is bold and angular, and there are many crossed-out mistakes peppered throughout. Florence, December 9th, 1832. My dear sister, I've gone to pick up Father's money order from the post office, and instead I received a letter from Mr. Summers saying that Father passed away. I am quite shocked, in truth. I didn't know his illness had taken a turn for the worse. I suppose that is my own fault. But you know what it was like when I wrote him. Nothing but nonsense about responsibility and the estate, and not a word about his actual life. I suppose you might tell me the state of things. Mr. Summers was very vague on the details. Did Father keep me in his will, or did he do what he threatened before I left and truly disinherit me? At any rate, I thought you might ask our aunt to send some funds to tide me over. It's an awkward situation, you being at Eadly and me being here with little idea of what is happening back there. I've not a great want to return to Eadly to deal with all of it. Not only will it take me a week or two to get there from Florence, I'm in Florence now, and a great deal of expense, I might add, but I've just taken up a proper rental here which would have to be dealt with, and there's all my paintings and supplies to think about. Besides, you know, with all those relatives visiting who disapprove of me, you wouldn't want me around anyway. The truth is, Aggie, I've met someone. I bloody called it. Someone born here in Florence. It's funny, they barely spoke a word of English when we met, and my Italian was certainly in dire need of improvement, and yet a connection was there. A connection was instantly there, and I knew it and I felt it from the first moment. They're a great painter in their own right too. I'm learning from them with every day that passes. I feel my mind expanding and my abilities growing. It is the missing piece in the puzzle I've been looking for. I don't want to leave it all, not now anyway. Aggie, I know you might have felt like you got the rotten lot where father is concerned. You know that father and I did not exactly get along, and sometimes you were certainly caught in the middle of that, which I regret. But you were always so good at managing the estate and managing him if you needed to. There hardly seemed a point in me being there to step in and antagonize him further. At any rate, he's passed now, and it's time for us to live our lives as we will. How are you keeping anyway? Are you married yet yourself? Did father find you a nice army boy? I hope things are tolerable there and not as dire as it all sounds. Your brother, faithfully, Nicholas. What a jerk. On the side of the paper is written, I've drawn you a little of my life. At the bottom of the paper are some sketches, a man in casual and relaxed clothing, a bust of a man wearing what seems to be a theatre costume or outfit, and a sketch of a Florence landscape. Wow. I genuinely am quite angry. No way he's getting any money. I'm sorry. This is absolutely unbelievable. Unless he's going to come back and actually help me with this, why should I give him any money? He's just, like, literally, I know there's the argument of, like, well, he's cut his father out of his life, but it was depending on his money, and obviously has met someone, which presumably is the person in these portraits, and I'm very happy for him. But guess what, mate? You're going to have to start earning your own money and stuff like that. There's not so much I could do for that unless you come and help me, because that's not okay. I'm actually genuinely really annoyed that he doesn't care about me. He's made it all about himself, as usual, I think. I think this is the first time I'm actually going to write back in a little bit of anger, a little bit of crossness, because before it's always like, you should always, think that they've got the right intent at the forefront, but this person's gone really selfishly. And has also made assumptions about, like, me getting married and all that, so, I am genuinely quite cross. I'm going to sort him out. This is not okay. Oh, wait, is this the day of the ball as well? Oh, we've just had the ball. So I could talk about that as well in my letter. Eadly Hall, Millcott, Hampshire, December 19th, 1832. Nicholas. So good for you to finally respond to one of our messages, even if it was due to you needing payment for your expenses. Whilst I'm happy that you have made a life for yourself in Florence and found love, they seem lovely from your sketches, I must be practical and refuse your request. I've instructed Mr. Summers to pay for the last few months of expenses and then stop. As you said yourself, now that father has passed, it's time for us to live our own lives as we will, and we must be able to fund such lives without his help as a result. I assumed you had no interest in coming back to Eadly Hall, but I am saddened by your blatant selfishness and stated reasons for not doing so. I did not ask you to do so for father's sake, but for mine. I asked you to come back to help me and my aunt, for you to have a say in matters as a respected member of this household, and then we would naturally allow you to go back to Florence, never to be bothered again by the tides of duty of being a Lockley. As a young gentleman, you have a lot more privilege and say in our Eadly circles compared to me and Aunt Gertrude. I know you're trying to win me over with your sketches and your compliments of me managing the estate, but frankly, it has made me cold to your cause entirely. I've been sorting through father's affairs and estate this last month, and not only have I had to contend with various difficult documents detailing payments, inventory, and day-to-day running of our home, but made decisions which I know I will be judged unfairly for because of my gender, and deal with the fallout of the discovery that father was seeing a woman in London in secret who is planning to come to Eadly in a matter of days. You ask of marriage and if I have been taken as a prize for one of father's soldier boys. Your disinterest in my life is truly showing here. If you must know, I went to the Havisham Birdwatching Association ball last night on behalf of this household with Captain Hughes, who you will no doubt remember. He made better company than you would have done. I care not if I get married, and frankly, society's obsession with it is morose. I thought receiving a letter from you would make me feel like I can finally move on in peace and sort out how my own life will be now father has passed. And in part, it has. But it really has shown me how I could not rely on you, even in the event of our father's death. So why should I be the one you rely on to fund your new lifestyle? You care not for father or for Eadly unless it benefited you, and you've made it clear you do not care for me. It does not benefit me to have such a leech of a brother in my life. I will see to it that you will remove from all documentation and duties to Eadly, as is your wont. I trust you will enjoy living out in Florence with your new partner, and I hope you are happy together. Maybe your fresh start without father's money will open your eyes to a new world experience, that of struggling artist. Do not write to me or Aunt Gertrude again for money. Aggie. Genuinely, it's made me really cross that just so selfish. No care. And I know it's been like a week since this person has sent the letter, or 10 days even, but it's just like so rude. And like, well, I'm in a better place now. Like, just no sympathy at all about him. It's all about him. And I know I had a difficult relationship with father, but no attempt to do anything. Just no. Oh, yeah. So I feel bad in a way because, I'm supposed to be responding properly to this, but you know what? It's my brother. He needs the truth. Got to get on with it. I can't give him money. It's just ridiculous. Maybe a leech was too far, but I don't know. Day 7, December 21st, 1832. After more than a month, the key has been found to the locked drawer of father's desk. There was nothing inside but Nicholas's old return addresses and a locket portrait of Mama. The locket is scratched and part of it is bent. I think it's the same one he took when he was posted in France. I'll place it by my inkwell. Mama can watch over me while I answer today's correspondence. So for today, 2 letters sit upon the desk along with a key. The first letter has not been posted. It has been folded in half and is addressed to Agatha Lockley, Eadly Hall. Ooh. The second letter, the postmarks read TP Piccadilly and paid 8. It is addressed to Agatha Lockley, Eadly Hall, Millcote, Hampshire. Oh, wait, the letter has not been posted, so it's either from the staff or it's from my father's lady friend. Okay, so the first letter, it is written in black ink instead of violet this time on an unadorned page. So it is. Dear Madam, I thank you for the courtesy of replying to my prior letter. My footman shall await your next one. Having now been made aware of your father's passing, it grieves me greatly. I shall be travelling to St. George-on-the-Hill to visit his grave and to say my goodbyes. I do believe you are in possession of my locket, if you would be so kind to give it to my footman. I feel honesty demands me to tell you that I intend to leave it at your father's grave, but do not fear, I will do so in a way that ensures it cannot be seen. As for what you might imagine passed between your father and myself, if it will aggrieve you in any way, then I assure you nothing happened, and I bid you cease to read my letter here. Otherwise, read on at your own peril. And then it says the page ends at this point, giving you a chance to choose not to read onwards. Well, I did give the locket back, and it's fine. It is what it is. Your father and I met by chance in the Vauxhall Gardens, where I'd gone to try to recapture some feeling of joy in my life after my husband's passing. I saw him strolling some several yards behind the friends he was with. They were taken up with conversation, but he was a watcher of the world. I introduced myself, quite a rude thing to do, I suppose, and we walked some way together. I found him to be solemn but charming. I enjoyed the depth of emotion I saw within him, a contrast from the many shallow men life had seen fit to offer me. We continued our acquaintance at several cafes, the theatre, which he did not enjoy, the concert hall, which he did, and then eventually we continued our acquaintance into a different way. I had never known a man so thoughtful as your father in the right company. When we met, he was watching me, always aiming to understand my intentions, determine my needs. He liked to be alone when the mood struck him, and I respect that. But when he was with me, he made me feel as if he listened to my conversation for its own sake, and for no reason but that. It was a feeling that is too rare to find in this world. At one point, we considered marriage, but we were quite happy as we were, free from the trappings and conventions it would put upon us. As I said, I thank you for your courtesy you have shown me in replying. Given the nature of the connection between us, I think it's best I do not reveal my true name. But allow me to sign off with the respect two women owe one another. I have learnt much about you and your brother from your father. He spoke of you with great fondness, if with a sense of ignorance about your true thoughts and intentions in life. He said there was much about you that reminded him of your mother. I hope that is something you would wish to hear. And there's no signature and no name. Wow. I kind of wish he'd shown kindness to me and my brother, to be honest with you, and let us in. Like, I don't understand, maybe, I guess the way he'd been with Nicholas about marriage and the way he's been with me in marriage, and then kind of not, it's like do as I say and not as I do kind of thing. This woman doesn't know me, but knew my father. And so, I think that's all I can ask, right? That's all I can do. Eadly Hall, Millcote, Hampshire, December 21st, 1832. Dear Madam, thank you for your letter and the kind words you sent. I appreciate your wish in keeping your privacy and will respect that. I will make sure the locket is sent with your footman with this letter. Truly, I am glad my father found happiness in your company and that he was able to be himself with you. As I said in my previous letter, I wish he had been open about his life with his children. I certainly would not have judged it. You got to know a very different side to my father than I think many are accustomed to, so I do feel envious. Whilst he and I, and my brother, all had difficult moments with each other, and some of the bruises of egos and hurt personas still persist, I would not be the person I am today without knowing my father. As I said, you are always welcome to come to Eadly Hall. There is an open invitation to you to visit and for us to talk more about my father and his life. I will always be open to having letters from you. Do not feel like you need to grieve alone again. I can't imagine how one would cope with the loss of not one soulmate, but two. Yours faithfully, Miss A. Lockley. I am kind of sad that she doesn't want to reveal who she is or anything, but that's by the by. I understand that. It's just a shame, really, I think. But yeah, gotta respect it. Like, she's also now being judged in a world of men, being a widow and then having an affair and not getting married and all that sort of stuff. And so, who am I to judge? I am surprised that my father would speak to her, but like, it's clear that she can see through like him. Like, I don't understand why she's like this, and she's a woman going like, well, obviously it's this. So, anyway. The second letter is written on mourning stationery with a black border in black ink. The handwriting is your aunt's. Oh, hooray. What has my aunt discovered? London, December 20th, 1832. My darling Aggie, you will not believe what has happened. I have heard from Nicholas. Oh, really? He said that he received my letters all at once, having finally visited the post office to check for correspondence from the family sent to his old residences. He gave me his current address. Nicholas said he may return to Eadly at some point in the future, but has asked me to remit the funds from the will into his account on the interim. Fuck off! Technically, that is possible. The lawyers could arrange it, but I'd rather he come back to see the care of the estate and have things done properly. Still, I am truly most sensitive to your needs in the situation. What would you prefer that I do? I could delay the transfer of the funds for a few weeks if you'd like. After that, I am bound by law to make the transfer. At least once the transfer has been made, I can return to Habishire to keep you company. Once the funds are transferred, your allowance will be dependent on Nicholas. There will be a very uncharitable thing should he decide to alter it in any way. You do have a dowry provided in the will. It is £4,000, which is equal to some £160 a year, a well enough amount to satisfy, say, an army gentleman of 1,000 a year. Not that I'm thinking of Captain Hughes, although since I'm on the topic, how are you finding him? Still, I think one way or another things will surely be resolved, and that at least gives me some peace. But on to cheerier topics. The Habishire Christmas ball awaits in just a few days. How are preparations? You certainly seem to be in mourning long enough for it to be perfectly acceptable for you to add some silks and trimmings to your black attire. I do hope you'll be able to have some fun. Truly you deserve some, my dear. Yours with great affection, Gertrude Arlington. Fucking Nicholas again! Oh, I can't. I'm so cross. I gotta put this. I'm gonna say you do not rip for money. When was this? He got the letter. When did he send me? He sent it. It's been 2 days since I sent it. So, yeah, fuck him. I gotta instruct her not to do that. Ah, fuck! I forgot about the law. Damn it! Fuck. Eadly Hall, Millcott, Habishire, December 21st, 1832. My dearest aunt. Ah, you too have heard from Nicholas then. I also received a letter from him a few days ago asking for money. I was, well, quite short with him. I have already instructed Mr. Summers to pay for his current expenses, then to cease any further payments until Nicholas comes back to Eadly to sort out Father's estate with both you and I. He made it very clear in his message that he was very hesitant to do such a thing, so I have decided to remove him entirely from his duties. He is so loath to do. Either he comes back, does his share of the work for his share of the will, or he stays in Florence and receives no money from the will. End of. Whether or not this can be done, I am not sure, but then again, I doubt Nicholas knows this either. I think threatening to cut him off so he may live his life without the Lockley backing may be enough to push him to do the right thing for everyone, and to not just think of himself. I would suggest that getting that paperwork of the court order resolving the will in order. I know it sounds drastic, but I am tired of mollycoddling a grown man who refuses to be a Lockley but likes to live like one. You and I are the ones who've done all the hard work so far. It's time we took that effort and make it count. Captain Hughes and I have been enjoying each other's company, but neither are considering any more to the future. He and I have been through quite the traumatic experience recently, so small steps. We enjoyed the Bird Association Gala earlier this week and have been talking with our Eadly Hall staff on ways in which Captain Hughes may foster a similar household for himself. Indeed, we shall have a small Christmas soiree here, something to bring about the festive spirit. My plans are to do a small luncheon with carols on the green and some small gifts to the staff for all their help in the last few weeks. You are more than welcome to come back, even if briefly. If Nicholas writes to you again, do not promise him any more money and do not respond to his requests for it. He has a way with words and will do anything to wheedle his way out of any work which does not involve his best interest. Much love, always and truly, Aggie. Honestly, fuck Nicholas. I don't know if this is being cruel, but frankly, he's put me over a big bind by saying he doesn't want to come back, but he wants stuff to be paid for. You have to come back. Sorry, that's the way it works. That's the way it's always works. If you want, you've got to be a part of the family. This is the thing, right? Maybe, one of these later letters is going to be the will. And it's going to say, I'm going to leave all my money to Agatha. Or to, this is the thing I'm struggling with. It's how this man thinks he can just flounce off,
enjoy his life and then be like, oh, well, I guess I could come back. But, oh, you're so much better. Like, no, no, it just is so selfish. And the thing is, though, and this is me speaking now as Fiona, I totally get like not wanting to do anything with somebody who is problematic. Like clearly this person's father and him had a really bad relationship. And in my head, it's like, cool, then I never speak to this person again. I don't want anything more to do with him and I do not want his money. That's the clearest thing to me. Like I don't have any holds or reliances on him. So that's why I'm really cross. Because like even after death, he still relies on my father's money. And it makes sense to me that like you have to do your own things. Like I just feel like you can't just have one thing and not the other. And the thing is that I know obviously my aunt won't have known this, and of course it's been like 2 days. I just feel like he's so manipulative that it makes me so cross. But I've got 2 more days because this is a 9-day thing, and I generally don't know what the next 9 days are going to be like. I assume I'm going to hear back again from my aunt at least one point. Maybe Captain Hughes will message me. No doubt he'll say something about Nicholas. Maybe I'll get another message from Nicholas because we're close to the end of the year. So presumably this is over the whole month of December. So I don't know. Like it's interesting. Day 8, January 3rd, 1833. New year, new us. What does one do with reams and reams of old papers? All the important documents are already in the custody of solicitors. What remains in here is boxes of letters, receipts, reminders, annotated periodicals, and the occasional note to himself. A lifetime of thoughts carefully filed one day at a time. Oh, no. Fuck. There's 2 letters sit upon the desk. The first letter has postmarks read Firenze, and the date is December 28th, 1832. The charge mark reads 1 10th and 8th. It's addressed to Agatha Lockley, Eadly Hall, Millcote, Habershire, and there's a small illustration of a butterfly. So that's my letter from Nicholas. The second letter is a letter that's not been posted. It has been folded in the conventional way for a letter as addressed to Agatha Lockley, Eadly Hall, Millcote, Habershire. Maybe Captain Hughes. So the first letter is written in blue ink in Nicholas's angular scrawl. There is inexplicably a pencil sketch of a duck with wings outstretched at the bottom of the page. God almighty, these creatives are so annoying. Florence, December 20th, 1832. My dear sister, Merry Christmas, or so it will have been by the time this reaches you. Since your last letter, I have been thinking a lot about things with you and Eadly Hall. Aunt Gertrude has also written me, so I am now fully apprised of the situation. God. Here are things as they stand. While I do intend to claim my inheritance, I am not well positioned to live in Eadly Hall, either in practicalities or in temperament. Truthfully, I'm also aware that my current companion is ill-suited to accompany me back home. You know how the English can be terribly prudish about so many things. With all this in mind, I want you to know that I intend to stay in Florence, if I can anyhow. Good, stay there. You are so good at managing the estate, so I had thought maybe things could simply keep on going as they are. Until you get married, of course. I imagine that will be some relief for you to know nothing need change at Eadly Hall. As to the matter of Eadly's expenses, Aunt knows the details of the accounts. You can simply arrange it with her. Send any paperwork to Mr. Summers and I shall sign it from here. Everything should go along quite swimmingly. I do intend to send for Father's bird statues, though, should they still be in our possession. I'd like to think of them as his artistic side. I might even imagine myself as an ornately carved heron. What the heck are you talking about? Perhaps someday I will finally break free from the thick stone that encases our family and take flight. One day I would like it if you should come visit me here. But not too soon, I imagine, as there will be quite a bit that still needs tending to. In the meantime, I promise I shall write. Your beloved brother, Nicholas. I think I understand that, there's only certain amounts of ways that the letters can be, as generic as I can, but I've told him to bugger off already. And you know what? I like how it feels like he's like, I've read your letter. I think this, and has kind of agreed with what I have said, kind of. Oof. I intend my inheritance. What inheritance? You're just going to spend it all fine. Take that money, but piss off. Oh, I gotta be careful on this one, I think, but God darn it, I've had enough of him. The less I have to do with him, the better. Eadly Hall, Millcott, Hampshire, January 3rd, 1833. Nicholas, I am glad to hear you have realised the complexity of the situation, and whilst I agree about how to leave things, i.e. you stay in Florence with your new partner and me to run Eadly Hall with Aunt, I must emphasise once again that I would have liked you to have been here to help me with the execution of the will and the estate, rather than simply writing your requests, which, as you have noted, will take some time to get to me. As I said previously, I am fine for you to get your share of the will to complete your current expenses, but no more than that. I have no wish to become your moneylender, as father was. You are a grown man, yet you act like a child when given any sense of responsibility. You cannot live in his shadow forever. I have given the birds away to charitable causes and to the Haberdasher Bird Association. If I had known you wanted them, I would have gladly sent them on, but many of them were too big to be transported, so you would have had to come to Eadly Hall anyway to arrange their postage, which you have already made clear you would have been loath to do. I will organise the paperwork to be sent to Mr. Summers, which will relieve you of your duties and would allow me to take over. Please try to read it. We can't go back once it's signed. I have no intention of marrying. You and everyone's interest in my chances has put me right off it, and so I intend to live my life here at Eadly and make it mine, just as you have made Florence yours. I fear I shall not come to visit you. Whilst I am happy for you and your partner, I'd rather not travel to a place for leisure when you cannot be bothered to travel home for business. I am quite cross with you, at my wit's end, if frank, but I will respond if written to. Any letters asking for money or talk of marriage will be put straight into the fire. Love, Aggie. I feel that's, I'm being quite short, and I don't know if I'm covering all the bases, and I appreciate maybe it's not historically accurate, but I'm kind of done with him going like, oh yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, it's so typical, and I just can't be bothered with this guy, so he's going to keep asking for money until I'm hard to say no, because it feels exhausting. The second letter is written in black ink on cream paper. The handwriting is Rajiv's. Hampshire, January 2nd, 1833. Dear Miss Lockley, I thank you for your kindness in hosting me at Eadly Hall on the New Year. It was quite a relief not to spend it alone in Caldwell House. We have both endured years greatly lacking in merriment. I am glad that together we seemed to find it in its final hours. Seeing you at Eadly inspired within me a strange sense of displaced nostalgia. It was the same house in which you and I played so often many years ago, yet our place within it has changed. I recall my guardian and your father sitting in the very seats we sat, trimming cigars and drinking port. Oh, were we doing that, or was my father and your guardian doing that? At the time, I thought them the very pinnacle of what men could be. Sons in their youth always think such things about their fathers. I cannot recall what they talked about, but I am sure it was very different to the sentiments we shared over ginger cake and claret. As you know, I became the ward of Colonel Hughes when I was but 3 years old. When the world looked at us, they always assumed a distance between us. I was his ward, not his son, not a part of his real family. They thought that I could not truly know him, and that he could not truly care for me. Yet, to me, He was everything a father might be and more. He not only gave me guidance and opportunity, but a great affection that grounded me through any hardships life saw fit to offer. The greatest compliment he ever gave me was to say that I'd grown very like him. And I still find myself considering what actions he would take, whether as a captain or even as a man. I hope I do not presume too much when I observe the situation between you and your father was very different. I remember when we were children, everyone used to say that Nicholas took after your mother and you took after your father. When you both would spend far too long at carnival games trying to win, or when you'd both wake up early to see the world gently wake, everyone would say you were truly cut from the same cloth. Yet, from what I learnt from you, it seems you became very different people as time went on. I know you laboured deeply under your father's expectations. I wonder how you will consider his stories and advice now you are no longer bound to follow it. It is snowing again, yet I find the weather more inviting than hostile. Perhaps the part of me that wishes to have little adventures has been reawakened. If you do not object, I would like to continue to call on you. I hope to be in Haberdasher for some months before I must depart again for service. Yours faithfully, Captain Rajiv Hughes. Oh. I think that's a nice letter. He's very nice. And I think, obviously, we've clearly grown quite close if he's observed that, so... I don't know what I'd write to him, though. Eadly Hall, Millcott, Haberdasher, January 3rd, 1833. Dear Captain Hughes, it was my honour to host you over the festive period, though I am glad for the ginger cake and claret did not turn into cigars and port. Your words are very much true. I was my father's daughter only in name, it feels like. Yet, I am the one who's trying to keep some sort of his legacy around. Nicholas has now washed his hands of it, thank goodness, though he will still try to call on me for his expenses. I wish I had had a good relationship with my father, just as you did with Colonel Hughes. I feel because he and Nicholas did not bond meant he was left with me, and, well, sadly, society feels less inclined to have those sorts of bonds with daughters, especially when one is a man's man. As I've said before, I truly did not understand my father, and now that he's passed, I am discovering a lot more about him. And my only wish was that he'd shared it with someone. He must have been so lonely and full of grief at the passing of my mother and then the war. I wish he had been open to kindness that was there waiting for him, but maybe such vulnerability is hard to process. I wish I'd tried more to reach him. I do think he was looking out for me where he could. He was not malicious, just did not know how to be a father to a daughter. You may call on me as often as you like. I appreciate your company. It is like the sun breaking through the rain clouds. Yours sincerely, Miss Agatha Lockley. He said yours faithfully, but he knows my name, so he should have said yours sincerely. So I'll just, I should have corrected him on that perhaps, but no, it's fine. Like I said, I don't think my father was malicious. He was just sort of set in his ways in the society he was in, and clearly struggled a lot with dealing with Nicholas, then with me, and then with his partner, and all those things conflated together. So I just feel sad in a way that I could have had a better relationship with my father. You know, from what I have read, and the context clues, he wasn't cruel. He just didn't understand. And for some people, that means getting cut off, like Nicholas going straight to Florence. But like, clearly my father still cared about him because he kept paying for things. So, yeah, it's confusing in a way, isn't it? Like, it's all complex. And I feel sorry for him. You know, I just hope that he's not suffering anymore and he's in a better place. But we've got one more day to go, day 9, and then we've got the epilogue, which will be interesting. Day 9, January 6th, 1833. Almost 2 months of mail. and I've finally seen fit to leave my own letter-writing set permanently on top of Father's mahogany desk. I need not move it for anyone, it seems. Not for a long time. Okay. So for our final day, we have 2 letters which sit upon the desk. The first letter, the postmarks read TP Piccadilly and paid 8th. It's probably from my aunt. It is addressed to Agatha Lockley, Eadly Hall, Millcote, Hampshire. And the second one, the postmark reads Birmingham, JA3, 1833, G, and is a postmark of 9. And it's addressed to me, Agatha Lockley, Eadly Hall, Millcote, Hampshire. I don't know who's in Birmingham. I don't recall anyone. I'll find out, no doubt. The first letter is written on morning stationery with a black border in black ink, and the handwriting is, of course, your aunt's. London, January 5th, 1833. Darling Aggie, it is finally done. Ownership and funds have been transferred, paperwork has been signed, countersigned, and even then signed again, and my duties as executor of your father's estate have come to an end. Finally. I shall be returning home to Hampshire within the week, and shall be glad to see it, and of course you. It is well we can put this behind us, grieve our grieving, and look forward to a brighter day. You have been exceptional in the management of the estate, and it seems little is to change in that regard. Does such a thought make you feel lighter or heavier? Of course you will have me nearby, and I hope I can ease the burden somewhat. There was a parade of hussars today in London, the Prince's own, I think, that made me think of your father. I remember the first time he put on that blue uniform, that ridiculous uniform with the yellow braids. He seemed instantly at home in it, and you couldn't help but think him capable of great things. Yet, perhaps this is a foolish thing only a woman would say. Greatness ought to begin with a great love for one's family. I believe he had such a love. I will always be a little sad that he could not quite ever show it. But let us turn our attention to happier topics. What news from Hampshire? With kind love and anticipation of my return, yours faithfully, Gertrude Orlington. Oh, great. Well, I'm glad she's got to come home. She missed Christmas, so that's a shame. But yeah, I don't really have much else to say to her. I'd rather say to it all in person, to be honest with you. Because I've not had any letters over the Christmas period that can signify like, oh, I did this, this, and this, you know. So I could say polite pleasantries, perhaps, but yeah. Oh, well, I'm glad it's all done, and we don't have to deal with Nicholas anymore. So that's good. Phew. Eadly Hall, Millcote, Hampshire, January 6, 1833. My dearest aunt, what great news indeed. You too have been exceptional in your handling of the paperwork and administration from your end of things in London. I hope you were able to take one last walk along the Thames and make it to Twining's tea shop on the Strand. Such a thought of being the head of the Lockley estate makes me feel, well, quite frankly, light as a feather. Whilst it is perhaps unusual for a woman to undertake such duties, fate has rather forced our hand. Nicholas was never going to be much help, as much as we would have liked to have wished otherwise. I hope he is content with our arrangement for now, and maybe he will see our side to it all one day. I will be glad to have you home once again. No real news here. We have had a lovely, if quiet, festive period, and all my small plans went off without much hassle. We shall make sure to do a recreation of such activities once you are home, so you too can enjoy them, as spending Christmas alone in London might not have been the Christmas you anticipated. And yes, every day with every letter to or about my father, I wished he could have shown his true feelings about us and about family. Still, we can now set an example and make sure we honour our feelings of love and family by showing them often and as much as we can. I look forward to seeing you, and don't forget, grab me some Earl Grey and Lady Grey from Twinings, and a tea strainer too. Love, always and forever, Aggie. There we go. Whew. I'll be glad to have her back. Gosh, she must have had quite a time in London, I think. And I say this, I think it could be really difficult if it's just two women trying to sort out all this estate, and obviously you're going against the society stuff. And you're always asking where Nicholas is. And like, frankly, I think we've done it incredibly well. So all's well that ends well, she says before reading the final letter. So this second letter is written in black ink on cream paper. The handwriting is in an orderly and flowing long hand, expansively arranged on the page. It says, Birmingham, January 3rd, 1833. Dear Madam, my condolences on the passing of your father. Shortly before his passing, he commissioned me to paint a portrait of himself for the gallery at Eadly Hall. He said that the portrait there now is of him as a young man, and he would like it to show a face that has been through life instead. The commission for the work has been paid up front, and I had already met with him 3 times some months ago to take sketches, though until now I had been busy with other work. I am writing to you to seek instructions as to how you would like your father portrayed in this portrait. He did not leave me any instructions in that regard, and although I had some starting sense of his character and bearing, it's always best to ask family in such cases. What particular characteristics, moods, achievements, or interests would you like me to include? Oh. As well as that, there is also the possibility of my adding other family members to the painting, if it is something you would like, although your father will remain the key subject. As strange as it sounds, I have several times painted family portraits in memoria. In such portraits, people need not be portrayed as they are, but rather as they would have liked to be remembered. This is not the first time I've had the honour to paint your family. Many years ago, almost 30 years ago now, your father also commissioned me to paint your mother. She had some natural aptitude for painting herself and was very curious about my process. I even gave her a few lessons around that time. I remember her very fondly. Let me know how I should proceed and how I might best portray your father. Yours sincerely, Augustus Glenford. Well, well, well. I have an idea of what I would like to do. But I just want to check if I've got it. She says, I'm going back through my notes. I think I sent back the locket, didn't I? With my father's lover in it. Her portrait, George Cooper. Maybe I could contact George Cooper. The artists will know each other. Yes, that would work. Okay, I've got an idea. Okay. Eadly Hall, Millcote, Hampshire, January 6, 1833. Dear Mr. Glenford, thank you for your letter and your kind words about my late father. I would be delighted to have this new piece hang by the one of my mother here in Eadly so they can be reunited once again. Over the last few months, I have learned a lot about my father that I did not know before, so I am unsure where to start to talk about him. But I will try with some small details of what I have learnt so far. My father was first and foremost a military man, part of the 18th Royal Hussars Regiment, and fought in the last Great War. He cared deeply for the men in his unit and had a special bond with them, so I'd like them and his career to be depicted in some way. I have a number of medals here at Eadly that he was awarded, and contact with his former colleague, Major General John Weatherton, who could give more information about his career and his time with the Guard. I think having his medals, or a depiction of his distinctive uniform, or even the small figurines he made of his unit, depicted in the background would be best. My father was also an avid bird watcher, and contributed much to the local birdwatching association scene here in Eadly. I could put you in contact with Sarah Williams, the head of the association, to speak about his passions and his late contributions, and perhaps to see his carved works, which we donated to the foundation. He was rather fond of peacocks, honey buzzards, and blue throats. So again, having them depicted in some way, either as real birds or as his own works, would be a nice touch. Now, a rather strange, if delicate request. I know artists don't necessarily all know each other, but have you by chance come across an artist called George Cooper? My father commissioned him to do a portrait of a dear friend for him roughly about 5 years ago, so 1828. A woman in her 40s, brown hair and striking eyes. There's not much to go on, I know, but if possible, I would like her and my mother to feature in the portrait beside him. Perhaps a double portrait of them both in a frame set upon a desk, if you're able to contact George Cooper and get some of his sketches, or at least talk to him about it. This friend, who sadly I do not know and have not been able to get in touch with, was clearly very important to my father in his final years, and I would like to have her role remembered in some way. Finally, I would like some mention of Eadly Hall to be depicted. Perhaps a view out of the window of the garden, or some other small picture within the background. I will say, this is a lot, I know, but you're more than welcome to come to Eadly so we can speak more easily and talk more about these little requests. In fact, you're more than welcome to stay and paint here if that is suitable. It means you can easily speak with us about my father and his personality, and get a better sense of him, both from myself, my aunt, and our household staff. Many thanks in advance, and I look forward to your response. Miss A. Lockley. I hope that's enough. I could have gone into more detail about what I thought he was and these things, but I actually think I'd rather this person come to me. And I know that's very a whole point of this is obviously letter writing, but I think this is enough to go on some of these ideas and then have this person come to me or contact these other people to get a sense of it. Like, if it's all paid up, then I don't think that's an issue. I think we need to have a proper talk about this, though. There you go, though. So that's day 9. I can see, if I have a quick look through, there is a final letter on the epilogue, which I don't know if I have to write back to. I assume I might have to. But, yeah, well, we'll leave it for another day, but it looks like we've got one more letter to write, I think. Epilogue, April 28th, 1833. I received the portrait from Mr. Glenford today. He came all the way from Birmingham to deliver it. Together we hung it in the gallery ourselves. We took tea, and he entertained me with stories of some of the most eccentric characters he had painted, of which my father was not one. When he had left, I returned to the gallery to take the portrait in once more. This would be it, the final version of him to look upon from this day forth. Mr. Glenford reflected what I had asked for most exactly, but was I right in what I asked for? As I contemplated this question, I found myself idly leafing through some of the old documents my aunt had sent over. I have to sort them at some point, but as she said, all are old and none are urgent. Between receipts and reminders, invoices and list of errands, I stumble across an old letter, and was surprised to find a familiar handwriting that lingered on the edge of my memory. This letter was written by my mother. Oh. And we have one letter sits upon the desk. It is aged with time. There are 3 postmarks that read Habishire, October 14th, 1812, and then A, October 16th, 1812, 12 o'clock, October 12th, 1812. NA. It is a charge mark of 8. It is addressed to Gertrude Arlington, Chesterfield Street, Mayfair, London. Although she cannot receive it, perhaps I will write one more letter in reply before I give my writing desk a much-needed reprieve. The final letter is written in a once black ink that has grown rust with colour. Some of the pages are stained with watercolours. The handwriting is a nostalgic one, an easy and earnest hand slanted in a similar angle to Nicholas's, but without any of his sharp urgency. Habishire, October 14th, 1812. My dearest Gertrude, I hope you and the children are having a wonderful time in London. I have written a little letter for them, which I have enclosed within. I know I could have simply written a postscript, but there is something delightful about sending them proper mail, complete with one of Thomas's silly wax seals, so they might, at ages 2 and 6, finally know the joy of correspondence. I cannot say that I credit your claim that you will miss the company of such small creatures now your William has gone away to school, but I know Agatha and Nicholas will appreciate their adventures in town. Sadly, however, your efforts to orchestrate some time alone for Thomas and I did not bear fruit, as one day after the children left, his unit was called to the Iberian Peninsula by Colonel Weatherton. I did honour your ambitions by taking tea in the gallery with his portrait, which, painted as it was when he inherited Eadly at 22, is quite out of date. I have now been 4 days alone at Eadly, and the experience has been overwhelmingly strange. I keep imagining I hear Nicholas's little footsteps scurrying down to the kitchen in search of leftover cake. He has no concept that I know of his nighttime activities, or Agatha's little sighs when the largest cup in her collection will not fit inside the smallest one. Thomas is too irregularly present for me to imagine him, but I miss him nonetheless. On the first day of my solitude, I was very busy indeed and achieved more in the way of organising, rearranging, and accounting than I had done in the entire month prior. On the second day, I had done it all of it, everything, and so we walked to Millcote Town and back. I found myself opening Nicholas's children's watercolour set. Suddenly, it was 3 days later, and I had painted, it appeared, every angle of Eadly with a shilling children's colour box. And let me tell you that these paints do not blend with the ease one might desire. I am not sure what is keeping me at it, yet I do not intend to halt my forward march into speculative art. Quite the opposite. In fact, I have commandeered the hill near the garden for the express purpose of painting this place from above. Eadly and its looming halls are a small speck in the valley of rolling green, quite the novelty. There's nothing like being alone to surprise oneself utterly. I do really think that one ought to know who they are, who they truly are, when no one else is present. There must be a self we can turn to when there is no one around we need to care for. So I shall dedicate my solitude to this spirited examination of my own character, and to planning 1 or 2 things for the children's return. After all, Agatha simply cannot turn free without an appropriate to-do. My fondest love to you and the children. You must tell me all you've been up to. Yours with affection, Olivia Lockley. Oh, and that's it. That's the final letter. Okay. Eadly Hall, Millcote, Hampshire, April 28th, 1833. Mama, forgive the late response to your letter, and that this response is not from Aunt Gertrude as intended. I appreciate 21 years is a long time to wait for a letter, but now is as good a time as any. Father passed a few months ago, and fate saw it fit to put me in charge of Eadly over Nicholas. While such a task felt daunting at first, I took to it as quickly as one could, as the staff, Aunt Gertrude, and even Nicholas looked to me for guidance. I learnt a lot about Father during the last few months, and how he was a different man to who I thought he was. But in the same way, I realised that I too was not who I thought I was either. I had to make some rather painful decisions in order to make sure our lives could keep on going after Father was gone. I even had to stand up to Nicholas and his whims, which I thought would never be possible. And whilst I have been by myself, I have not truly been alone. Gertrude has been a big help, as has Miss Stewart and Mr. Alder and all the household staff. Even Captain Hughes, who has now inherited the Cornwall estate, has been a welcoming presence as we have navigated our loss of our father figures together. Folks will always cast me in a light that does not show me for who I am. The talk of marriage and children follows me everywhere I go. But I decided it is time for a change. Just as Father and Nicholas were able to live lives which were hidden from society's judgment, I plan to live my life out in the open and fully. Myself and Gertrude are planning to travel around the next few months. City breaks, one would call them. Bath is our first stop before heading to the north and seeing what Scotland has to offer new travellers. Just as you discovered your love of painting, I wish to explore my love for travel and see new places so that I can fully appreciate Eadly Hall and Habishire more on my return. Perhaps one day I will visit Nicholas in Florence, but that might be some time off. We might not be as close as once we were, but he's still my brother and I love him dearly. I hope I have done you proud in all that I do, and I hope you are happy with Father now he's come to rest alongside you. Love, always, Aggie. Well, there we go. So, that was my late father's correspondence. What an interesting game. I really liked it. I didn't know where we'd go with it and what we expected, but it felt good, that ending. I'm still mad at Nicholas. And I don't know if I did it right. I don't know if I should have maybe dug more into the historical aspects of it to make it feel more genuine, but I kind of like just reacting to it as honestly as I could, because it felt like that's what I would have done if I was in Agatha's position. I kind of wish there was more letters from Rajiv. I think that would have been more fun. Maybe I think this could have been longer. I know it's technically only 10 days worth, but I feel like we could have had a bit more in terms of like getting some more information about home, perhaps. But maybe it's too difficult because you don't want to include too much because you want to have the player have more interpretation about what's going on. I'd like to have 1 or 2 letters, maybe to discuss whether we're going to get married, because I know that's kind of left open-ended, as it were. It felt good, that one. What I'd say as well, I liked, because I was using the plain text version, I really liked the alt text description of it, just because making it easier for me to read the handwriting, because I was a bit like, I don't know if I'll be able to read it, just because I'm bad at reading things out loud anyway. So yeah, no, I'm really pleased with that. I'm glad it's accessible in that way. So yeah, thanks for listening to me waffle on. Hopefully I wasn't too outrageous for the Regency period.
The What Am I Rolling podcast was created, recorded, and edited by me, Fiona Howat. This episode's player was me, Fiona. This episode's RPG was My Late Father's Correspondence, a read and reply game by Hayley Gordon and published by Storybrewers Roleplaying. You can find out more information about My Late Father's Correspondence and grab your own copy on the Storybrewers Roleplaying website. That's storybrewersroleplaying.com. The theme music was 8-Bit March by Twin Musicon of twinmusicon.org, licensed under a Creative Commons 4.0 license. If you want to find out more about the podcast, check out the website. That's www.wairpodcast.com. Fancy getting in touch? Email the podcast at whatamirollingpodcast@gmail.com. Finally, follow the podcast on social media. You can find us at WAIR_podcast for latest news on upcoming episodes. All the relevant links are in this episode's show notes, including a link to our Discord. And remember, adventurers need not apply.